been a mystery from the beginning of human history. And very especially when people have to suffer when they are innocent, then a question arises in their mind and also in our hearts, why there should be suffering in the lives of an innocent person. Through the passion and death of Jesus, God has very powerfully revealed to us that suffering has something greater value than otherwise normally we think. Now we can go through sufferings in two ways. Number one is as victims. There are so many people who consider themselves as victims. People who passively go through the experience of suffering. People who say that it is their problem, they have done it, they have done it. They feel very much victimized by others. And their life is very, very tragic. And they always feel very much pain, they are in sorrow. They blame everyone in the world for all their sufferings. So you can live as victims when you suffer. But there is another way of taking suffering, and that is as victors, as conquerors. Quite often suffering can be the cost that we pay for living a value. Let's say, for example, you love someone and that person betrays you. That betrayal is in fact the price you pay in loving that person. Or let's take another example. You live a life of truth. You are truthful. You are honest. And as usual, normally such people have to go through a lot of sufferings. But that suffering is a cost that he is paying for the sake of living this value called truth or honesty. Such people will always consider their sufferings as something through which they conquer. As Jesus conquered suffering, we all should conquer suffering. We should have the courage. You know, in Romans chapter 5 verses 3 and 4, St. Paul says, through sufferings we receive courage and strength and power. The more you accept suffering joyfully and the more you accept suffering as victor, as conquerors, the more you will become powerful. We need to be more active in accepting suffering. Today we shall examine ourselves and see, are there sufferings in my life? And how do I look at them? How do I bear with them? How do I accept them? Do I accept them as a victor or as a victim? If you accept it as a victim, you will be living a pathetic life. But on the contrary, if you accept it as a victor, as a conqueror, knowing this is the cost I have to pay in my life for living some values, living for God, then you will be victorious. And you will find those sufferings make you stronger and more powerful.